Please, just let me go." The voice was thin. An old man trembled in the back office of the supermarket, a shoplifter. Cold stares from the employees pierced through him. Everyone muttered insults. But one woman stepped forward, the poorest one in the store. "I'll pay for it." That single sentence would change her life forever. It all began a few months earlier. "Mom, I'm hungry." Her daughter Anna's voice was a whisper. Emma Johnson was a single mother to her 6-year-old girl. She was at her breaking point. Inside her wallet, a few coins and some crumpled bills, $52 in total. The refrigerator offered no hope, just a half-eaten loaf of bread and the last of the milk. "I'll make something delicious in just a minute, sweetie." Emma forced a smile. 3 years ago, she lost her husband in a sudden accident. Everything changed that day. Tomorrow, Anna's prescription needed to be refilled. Payday was still 10 days away. The next morning, Emma dropped her daughter off at daycare. Then she went to her job at the Everyday Mart. Every time she walked through those automatic doors, her stomach tightened. "Another late start, Johnson?" Robert Miller, the manager, stood with his arms crossed. "I'm so sorry, sir." "Save the excuses." He cut her off. She was actually 5 minutes early, but the truth didn't matter to him. Ever since she'd turned down his dinner invitation, the harassment had been relentless. "I'm docking your pay this month, $70. "Please, I can't. My daughter's medicine." "Not happy? Then quit." A smirk played on his lips. "Who else is gonna hire a single mom like you?" The words cut like ice. She had failed so many interviews. She couldn't lose this job. "Here, buy this." Robert shoved a container of expiring deli food at her. This was the 4th time this month. With a trembling hand, Emma opened her wallet. The money for Anna's medicine disappeared again. Still, quitting was not an option. In the evening, she finished her shift and rushed to the daycare. "Mom!" Her daughter's smile melted a small part of Emma's frozen heart. If she could protect that smile, she could endure any humiliation. Back at their basement apartment in the Bronx, she laid out the deli food she'd been forced to buy. She rearranged it on a plate to make it look nicer. "We're having a feast tonight." "Wow, it looks so good." Anna dug in happily. "You should have some too, Mom." "I already ate, sweetie. I'm fine." It was a lie. She hadn't eaten since morning. But her daughter's smile was all the nourishment she needed. After putting Anna to bed, Emma stared at her bank statement. No matter how many times she did the math, the numbers were red. She couldn't even afford next month's rent, but she couldn't give up. For Anna, she had to go back to that hell tomorrow. And then, the next afternoon, it happened. A strange tension filled the store. The murmurs grew louder. "Shoplifter!" someone yelled. Emma looked up from her register. An old man's arm was gripped by a store clerk. He was frail and thin, in a worn-out jacket. He looked around, terrified. "I'm sorry. I'm so sorry," the old man repeated in a faint voice. In his hands were a loaf of bread and a carton of milk, and a container of deli food with a half-off sticker. Robert Miller stormed over. "Oh, not again! We're getting too many of you!" His voice boomed through the aisles. Shoppers stared from a distance. "Call the police! Make an example of him!" "No, I thought I paid." The old man pleaded desperately. He looked like a lost child. "Don't give me that pathetic lie." Robert searched the old man's pockets and pulled out a wallet. It was empty. "Stealing with no money, huh?" The old man opened and closed his mouth, but no words came out. His memory seemed jumbled. Could he be? A thought crossed Emma's mind. "You should be ashamed of yourself, you old fool," Robert's shouting echoed. Emma couldn't watch anymore. What if that was her own father? Her rational mind screamed at her. Stop. What about Anna's dinner tomorrow? But her body was already moving. "Mr. Miller, please wait." The air in the store froze. Every eye was on her. "Johnson, what do you think you're doing?" Robert spun around, his face red with rage. Emma closed her eyes for just a second. This would make her life even harder. But she didn't care. "I'll pay for this gentleman's items." Silence. Robert's face turned a deeper shade of crimson. "Are you kidding me?" "Please, just don't call the police." Emma opened her wallet. Inside was the money for Anna's medicine and tomorrow's food. 2 $10 bills and some change. Her fingers trembled slightly as she held the money out. Look at the poor woman playing hero. Robert's insult was true, but Emma didn't back down. "Please." Her voice was quiet, but firm. Emma walked to a register and scanned the items the old man had taken. The total was $14.50. Tomorrow's food money was completely gone. The old man just stared at her, stunned. "It's okay, you can go." Emma put the items in a bag and handed it to him. He took it with a shaky hand. Thank you. I am so sorry." He nodded his head again and again, then shuffled out of the store. Robert's anger, of course, had not subsided. "Johnson, what was that little stunt?" "I'm sorry." It was all she could say. That night. "I'm sorry, Anna. This is all we have for dinner." On the table was a plate of bread and 2 glasses of milk. "It's okay, Mom." Anna looked closely at Emma's face. "Mom, are you crying?" "No, sweetie, it's nothing." She held back the tears. She had no regrets. The old man's words, "Thank you," warmed her cold heart. After that day, Robert's harassment crossed a line. One day, he called Emma into his office. A thick stack of files sat on his desk. "I need you to take care of this, tonight." She looked through the papers. A portion of the store's sales was missing. Robert was embezzling money, and he wanted her to hide the evidence. "Sir, this is—" "Anna needs her medicine, doesn't she?" Robert grabbed Emma's shoulder. Her blood ran cold. "And I hear you have some debts. You want to get fired?" She bit down hard on her lip. The shame and anger made her vision blur. But she couldn't cry here. "If anything goes wrong, it's all on you." Robert smiled. "Nobody's going to believe a single mother." With a trembling hand, Emma picked up the pen. "I'm sorry, Anna. Please forgive me." From that day on, her job became a living nightmare. Huddled in a corner of the office, she changed the numbers in the ledgers. This would pay for Anna's medicine. A tear dripped onto the page. Meanwhile, a figure watched the store from the outside. It was George Morgan. Dementia was clouding his memories, but her kindness remained vivid and clear. One afternoon, George watched from behind a shelf. "Hey, Johnson, you mess up the totals again?" Robert's voice was sharp. "You're useless." Emma stood with her head down, looking thinner each day. George's heart ached watching her. Why? Why was this happening to such a kind person? His fists clenched in anger. But what could he do now? "She helped me," George whispered. "I have to help her." Then a face flashed in his mind. Charles! It was the name of his son, whom he hadn't seen in years. A week later, Emma's body had reached its limit. Her only food was Anna's leftovers. She survived on water to quiet her hunger. Robert had tripled her workload. That evening, as Emma stood at the register, her vision warped. A ringing filled her ears. She put a hand on the counter to steady herself. but she couldn't hold on. Her vision faded to white. The strength left her fingertips. Clang. Coins scattered across the floor. Emma collapsed like a puppet with its strings cut. "Emma!" Her coworker, Davis, rushed to her side. "Are you okay?" Robert's furious voice cut through the concern. "Stop making a scene." He roughly grabbed Davis's hand as she reached for the phone to call an ambulance. "It's just a little dizzy spell. Don't be so dramatic," Robert spat. Davis tried to argue, but Robert's cold glare silenced her. "You want to get fired too?" That one sentence froze everyone in place. I'm okay," Emma whispered, trying to stand. Her legs trembled. She had no strength. She didn't remember how she got back to her apartment. The next thing she knew, she was lying on her cold bed. Her body felt like lead, but she had to pick up Anna. Just then, her phone buzzed on the nightstand. A message from Robert. Just one line. "Fake illness? Don't bother coming in tomorrow." Fired. The word slammed into her. Her fingers shook. She could barely dial his number. When he finally answered, she sobbed. "Please, Mr. Miller, don't fire me." A cold laugh on the other end. "Then get here now. We'll talk." Then he added cruelly, "If you can't make it, we're done." Despair washed over her. She used the wall to pull herself up, one step at a time. "Anna, I'm sorry. Just a little longer." By the time the supermarket lights came into view, her knees were shaking uncontrollably. "Come on, you can do this," she told herself and pushed through the automatic doors. "You're late. How long were you going to keep me waiting?" Robert's voice drilled into her ears. "I'm so sorry." As she spoke, a wave of dizziness hit her. She was going to fall. Just then, "Excuse me." A quiet but firm voice cut through the store. Everyone turned. Standing at the entrance was George Morgan, the old shoplifter. The employees started whispering. Behind him, the automatic doors opened again. Men in dark suits filed in silently. Outside, a fleet of black luxury cars had pulled up to the curb. The air in the store changed. The man in the lead was in his late 40s. A tailored suit fit his powerful frame. His sharp eyes seemed to see everything. The overwhelming presence silenced the entire store. "Who the hell are you people?" Robert's voice was uncertain. But the man walked past him as if he wasn't there. He stopped directly in front of Emma. "You must be the one who helped my father." His voice was surprisingly calm. "Father?" Emma looked from the man to George at the door. Mr. Morgan," Robert stammered. His eyes were wide with shock. He rushed over to the man. "Sir, what are you doing here?" Emma was completely confused. "This man is the boss?" Robert continued frantically. "Today's sales have been excellent, especially in the seafood department." Beads of sweat formed on his forehead, but the man didn't even glance at him. He ignored him completely. The man turned back to Emma and gave a slow, respectful nod. "My apologies. I should introduce myself. I am Charles Morgan. I'm the CEO of Morgan Holdings, the parent company of this supermarket chain." Charles smiled gently. "My father caused you a great deal of trouble." Emma was speechless. These two were father and son? Robert's face went pale. He began to tremble. Charles began to speak quietly. "The truth is, my father and I hadn't spoken in 22 years. It started when I told him I was starting my own business." "You're not going to take over the farm? You ungrateful son." "You're no son of mine. Get out." We never spoke again after that day. Even when I became successful and offered him help, my father stubbornly refused. He wouldn't even accept money for living expenses. just his small pension. Charles continued softly. My father has early-stage dementia. Emma gasped. That day, he may have forgotten his wallet. Or maybe he forgot the fact that he didn't have enough money. Charles's voice was filled with sadness and regret. My father's life? It was not an easy one. Not at all, Emma whispered, shaking her head. I only did what anyone would have done. What anyone would have done. Charles offered a small smile. To give away your last dollars for a complete stranger. How many people in this world would do that? Charles's expression suddenly turned serious. Actually, last week, my father showed up at my office. It was the first time they had seen each other in 22 years. And he said this, Charles, I need you to do something for me. Please, you have to save her. I was stunned, Charles said. That stubborn man, asking me for help for the first time in his life. Charles's eyes grew misty. He told me. She was the only one who treated me like a human being. For you. My father gave up the pride he held onto for 22 years. Charles faced Emma and lowered his head in a deep, sincere nod. You are the one who saved our family. The men in suits behind him did the same. Thank you, truly. Please allow us to repay this debt. Just then, Sir, Robert scrambled to get between them. Emma is an excellent employee that I personally trained. This is all thanks to my guidance. Is that so? Charles replied, his face unreadable. Robert's confidence grew. Yes, of course. Shoplifting is a crime. My father should face the consequences. Charles's voice dropped a notch. Robert was confused. Yes. However, Charles's voice was cold as ice. That has nothing to do with your actions. Charles signaled to one of his men. The man pulled a single sheet of paper from a large envelope. Mr. Miller, do you recognize this? It was a copy of Emma's pay stub. For last month's salary, there seems to be an improper deduction for damages. A greasy sweat appeared on Robert's forehead. Charles took out a second sheet. This is a transcript of an audio recording provided by your employee, Ms. Jones. The woman named Jones gave Emma a supportive, apologetic nod. Charles read a line from the transcript. How could a poor woman like you do a decent job? I feel sorry for your sick daughter. The color drained completely from Robert's face. That's... And... Charles slammed a thick file onto the counter. This is the second set of books you forced Ms. Johnson to create to hide your embezzlement. No, that's not true, Robert shrieked. She did that on her own. Then, Charles held up a copy of a bank statement. What about this unusual deposit into your personal account? It matches the store's missing revenue perfectly. Robert's mouth opened and closed, but no sound came out. Charles's voice trembled with quiet fury. You threatened her? Using her sick daughter's life and her late husband's debts as leverage. Emma covered her face. She never wanted anyone to know. Charles glared down at the man cowering on the floor. You are the lowest form of human being, just as Robert slumped to the ground. Sir, I'd like to make a statement as well. Another employee stepped forward. In a trembling but clear voice, he spoke. Manager Miller has been harassing all of us. That broke the dam. I'll testify too. The way he treated Emma was horrible. We were too scared to say anything. The accusations poured out. Charles nodded. Thank you all for your courage. He turned back to Robert. Robert Miller, Morgan Holdings is terminating your employment, effective immediately. No. As Robert collapsed to his knees, Charles spoke coldly. All of this evidence will be turned over to the police. Please, forgive me. Anything but that! Robert pressed his forehead to the floor, but his pleas fell on deaf ears. Outside, a siren wailed. Flashing red and blue lights painted the windows. 2 police officers entered the store. Robert Miller, you're under arrest on suspicion of embezzlement and extortion. You need to come with us. They grabbed his arms and dragged him away. It's a setup. This is a conspiracy. He screamed obscenities until his voice faded into the night. A deep silence fell over the store. Emma still couldn't believe what had just happened. She swayed on her feet. Charles turned to her, his expression serious. I am so very sorry, he said, his voice full of regret. Our company's failure of oversight allowed you to suffer. No, was all Emma could manage to say, shaking her head. Just then, George Morgan slowly walked over to Emma. His wrinkled hand covered hers. It was trembling slightly. You were the only one. George's voice was hoarse. The only one who saw me as a person? Tears streamed down his weathered cheeks. Thank you. Thank you so much. George kept nodding his head. Tears welled up in Emma's eyes, too. Charles gently put a hand on his father's shoulder. Dad, it's okay now. Hearing that word for the first time in 22 years, George's face crumpled like a child's. The frozen bond between father and son was finally beginning to thaw. Ms. Johnson? Charles began. If you're willing, I would like to make you an offer. Emma looked up, confused. Morgan Holdings has a division dedicated to social outreach, he continued. It's a program that supports the elderly and families like yours with sick children. Emma's eyes widened slightly. Social outreach. We need people like you to lead this effort. But I don't have a degree or any qualifications. Emma's voice shook. You can get the certifications after you start. The company will cover all the costs. Charles handed her an envelope. This is your new employment contract. Emma cautiously looked inside. She gasped. A monthly salary of $3,800. Bonuses twice a year, a 5-day work week, and a special medical expense assistance program. The company will cover 90% of Anna's medical bills, Charles said gently. For the remaining 10%, we have an interest-free loan program. Large tears rolled down Emma's cheeks. It was like a dream. It's not a dream, Charles said, his voice firm. This is the reward you have earned for your kindness. The other employees watching were crying too. Mom? A small voice echoed from the entrance. Everyone turned. Anna Johnson was standing there. A daycare worker was holding her hand. She looked worried. Anna! Emma rushed over in surprise. The daycare worker looked apologetic. You were past the pickup time, and Anna started crying that she was worried about you. Anna wrapped her small arms around Emma. Mom, are you okay? Emma held her daughter tight. I'm okay, sweetie. I'm so sorry I worried you. Mommy, you're crying. Yes, but these are happy tears. Charles knelt down gently to meet Anna's gaze. You must be Anna. Anna nodded shyly. Your mother is a truly wonderful person. Charles gently patted her head. You should grow up to be a kind person, just like her. Anna blushed and smiled. Mr. Morgan. Emma looked up. Her tears had dried. A new strength shone in her eyes. I'll do my best. I accept. Charles nodded, satisfied. Excellent. We're glad to have you. George was also smiling through his tears. 8 months passed. Bright sunlight streamed into an office. Have a good evening, Emma. A coworker smiled at her. Isn't today Anna's checkup? It is. The doctor said she's doing great. Emma's face glowed. the shadows were gone. The new medicine seems to be working? We're so happy for you. Her colleagues celebrated as if it were their own good news. Here, no one judged her. Everyone accepted her as a valued member of the team. Just after she left the office, her smartphone buzzed. The screen read, George Morgan. Emma, is that you? The voice on the other end was much stronger than before. After reconciling with Charles, George had started specialized treatment. The progression of his illness had slowed. Yes, Mr. Morgan. I'm on my way to the hospital to pick up Anna now. Wonderful. Do you mind if I come see my granddaughter? Of course not. Anna will be so happy to see you. In the hospital waiting room, Anna was waving her small hands energetically. Mom, Grandpa George is here, and Uncle Charles too. The four of them walked home together. Anna held George's hand tightly, happily humming a song she had just learned. Ms. Johnson, Charles spoke quietly. My father was truly saved by meeting you. Emma replied from the heart. No, I'm the one whose life was changed by meeting him. The orange sunset stretched their four shadows long behind them. That day in the supermarket, it was such a small thing. A little bit of kindness offered to a stranger. But it had brought about an incredible miracle. There would be no more nights crying from hunger. No more days of unjust humiliation. Kindness always finds its way back to you. Emma was sure of it now, as she walked forward with her beloved daughter and her new family. That's all for today's story. If this moved you in any way, please subscribe and give us a thumbs up. May your tomorrow be even brighter than today.